Good morning, people. What's going on? It's Steel. I'm tired, but I just gotta go over this. So, for any long-time player, obviously, for everybody pretty much that's been playing the game, you're used to events happening every few months that incorporate 3 to 4 vehicles, and there's not really a rhyme or reason or a theme behind it other than the name of the event and the vehicles in it. Like, export order was like a bunch of weird prototypes and export vehicles, shit like that. But now Gaijin has decided, whether it's due to running out of ideas for interesting event vehicles to add, because they also kind of have a battle pass now that consumes some of the interesting stuff to make the battle pass worth grinding, or they're just realizing that they want to extend the life of War Thunder, and even if they still have plenty of interesting vehicles to add, they want to do it on a more historical basis tied to historical events. So basically, TLDR, we're not getting any normal event except for the winter event. That will stay. There's some cosmetic only events like the Armed Forces days where you maybe get a premium be sold, or you just play for a decal. The events on will last an average of 12 to 18 days, so not even a full month. When it finishes, there will be a pause between the next one. So Gaijin's basically going to be constantly adding vehicles. I'll get to that in a second. The first event is a new cycle that is going to start soon, and I guess they're going to talk about it on the 25th. The first event is going to be a tank, the second will be an aircraft, and the third will be a naval, and then there's going to be no... well, they say it'll follow this general cycle, but they'll probably switch it around throughout the year. Each event will be mission point based, so they do say in the FAQ, where was it here? Crafting events are gone. So crafting events, the most soul-sucking of all events, are gone. But you now will require 35,000 to 45,000 mission points, basically per 2 days, in order to get a task done to unlock the vehicle. It depends on how many tasks there are. 12 to 18 days. I mean, can I do the math? It's probably, it would make sense to be 20 days, right? 10 to every 2 days, 10 tasks, 20 days would make sense. There's a few other things here. So basically, the vehicle in each event will be a mix of high, medium, and low tiers, where the required number of mission points, task stages, purchase costs will vary in each event depending on the vehicle's rank. Will the events be tied to real life? They have cosmetics related to it. So basically, let's say for instance, it's the anniversary of Pearl Harbor. They might release a ship premium, or maybe like a P-40 like skin, or not a skin, but like just some new vehicle, basically new in air quotes. Depending on that, something related to the attack on Pearl Harbor, right? Or better example, like the Yom Kippur War. Let's say they release a special shock cowl with sandbags on it or something stupid. Again, new vehicle in air quotes, because I feel like there's going to be some copy and paste. There's still hundreds of vehicles Gaijin potentially could add between air and ground. There's all like the Century Series fighters for America. There's all kinds of wacky, weird, like Soviet prototypes, or things like the Interceptor version of the Yak-28. There's so many different vehicles that they can still potentially add, but at the same time, it feels like in terms of the game's life, there's really not a lot left to add, and they're seemingly trying to take an event that happens every few months and it has 3 to 4 vehicles in it and stretch it out across a year. Because if you think about it, 4 vehicles for roughly 4 months, like that's not a bad idea. That's a lot longer than waiting every 3 to 4 months, I guess, for 4 vehicles total. They're kind of stretching it out. Obviously, it means they might even have a more steady revenue stream. I kind of, in theory, like the idea. I wouldn't have minded something like this like a few years ago. Instead of like waiting for a major update. Like if there's a vehicle that Gaijin wants to add that isn't in an update, or isn't an update, and they don't want to wait 4 or 5 months to add it, then they just add it in as like, oh, you can grind it. I would hope that the vehicles are recurring, which means when it comes back at the same time that year, you have a chance to get that vehicle again if you missed it. and it might even like save progress or something. But that's a bit of a reach. I doubt they'll do that. This is Gaijin. They said based on player feedback, they wanted to provide players with a way to obtain vehicles and events rather than only a select few, or all vehicles rather than a select few. With consecutive events, players would be able to obtain the vehicle types they want and miss the vehicles they don't want. So there's basically only going to be like a 2 to 3 break period in between the events. Now, well, in practice, or in theory, this sounds like a great idea. In practice, I think most normal War Thunder players, even if they do play a lot during the day, 35 to 45,000 mission score is a bit much. Because if you think about it, during an event like the winter event, you're basically asking people to not spend time with their family and sit on a fucking computer all day long for a vehicle that they're really wanting to get because they're fucking like addicted or whatever. Who cares? You're asking people to play during a certain localized time, let's say, or like during the summer event. It's you play like crazy for a couple of weeks and then you get a vehicle and maybe you take a break or whatever. It's fine. Now you're basically asking people if they want a vehicle. Obviously, everybody's going to skip naval, so there's a little bit of a caveat there. It's going to be a couple weeks break between many naval rewards, I'm assuming. But anyways, back on track. You're basically asking players to grind their balls off every single day, 365 days a year. So if they really want that tank or that plane, to me, it seems like they're going to burn you out faster. It just depends on the mission score requirement. Because I think if you come home, like if you're on the working side, like if you're still like a student or something, like you're playing and you're in high school or you're in college. Obviously, college, you might even lose more time because you do need to work, most likely. You don't have a lot of time on your hands to play War Thunder, so for people that are working or they're in higher education and they don't have a lot of time on their hands, that seems like a lot. To kids that are in high school and literally the only thing you have to worry about during the day is going to fucking high school, then those people probably have the most time out of anybody. However, there's a little bit of a caveat to this. Similar to, is it the crafting event test I'm thinking of? But anyways, I don't want to compare it to something I might be wrong about. On the second page of questions, basically, you need to play air for the air reward and ground for the ground reward. So if you're somebody who only enjoys aircraft, or like mainly enjoys aircraft and you don't have a lot of tanks, but you dabble in it every now and then and you want the tank reward, basically get fucked because if it's a high tier reward and you really want it and you're in low tier, like you're just going to have to cough up money to skip the task because I'm presuming this is Gaijin, you'll be able to G the tasks, obviously. So you know, if you're only a tank player and you have a few premium aircraft for for CAS or something, and you really want the air reward, but you don't really like AirRB or arcade or whatever, and you don't want to play only your airplane, then just get fucked because like you're gonna have to use that CAS and ground because I think it counts. I think aircraft and ground still counts towards an air task. I don't remember. Somebody will have to correct me in the comments, but either way. It's not like, oh, there's a new vehicle, you can just play the game casually. Like, you need to specifically play a certain vehicle or a certain lineup or whatever, a certain rank in order to get whatever the reward may be. So, that's a little bit of a caveat. But otherwise, I kind of actually like the idea. But to me, I feel like this is going to burn people out way quicker because it's going to be constantly running. And if there's a vehicle you really want basically at the end of every month, basically, then yeah, I don't see people enjoying this for very long. But anyways, I've been rambling enough. I need to get some stuff done today. So if you guys enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you guys eventually because it's been like 4 months since I made a video on War Thunder. So thank you so much for watching. Peace.